Well, look, I promised you we'd look at the state of play in this election with only a couple of days to go. One person who knows this scene backwards is the former president of the Victorian Liberal Party and a very prominent Liberal figure, Michael Kroger. And he joins me. Michael, thank you for your time. What have you made of this campaign?
Great pleasure. Well, I think the one dominant factor in this campaign is that people have seen that Albanese is an underperformer. I mean, as we know, Alan, governments lose elections, opposition don't win them. Opposition leaders basically just have to stand up to get elected like Rudd did in 2007, for example. But what's happened in this campaign is Morrison's, I think, been quite superb. And Albo has made too many blunders, and I think people think he's probably not up to the job. I think that's the biggest thing to come out of the campaign so far, and that's why you're not seeing a big increase in Labor's vote. You're seeing that drift to the independents, and that's Labor's biggest trouble. Is
Morrison on the nose, though, with traditional Liberals?
Well, look, a fellow came up to me at the polling booth in Higgins, outside a supermarket in Higgins a few weeks ago, and he said, I'm not voting for you, I can't stand your leader. And Alan, because I've stood at that supermarket for the last 5 or 6 elections on Saturday mornings, I was able to say to the bloke, yeah, mate, that's what you told me about John Howard. So we have these people that years ago always said, we'd vote Liberal, but we don't like John Howard. And as John Howard himself says, you couldn't give me away in Melbourne for many years. So I think Labor have run a very clever campaign undermining Scott Morrison. It's been a subliminal campaign, don't hold the hose, all of those things. They've undermined him for 18 months. Is Scott on the nose with traditional Liberal voters? With some, but every leader is after all these years in government, after 9 years in government. So
you've got children. You've got children.
His own seat in 2000.
Is debt an issue? Now, the coalition inherited gross national debt of 20% of GDP. By the time COVID struck, it had run up to 28%. There'd been no crisis, but that was the biggest load of national debt since 1958. Now, kids who today are 5 or 6 will be left to pay this off. The gross national debt now is 42.5% of GDP. Now, Whitlam was regarded as an economic dunce, and he recorded 24.5%. And the budget papers tell us that debt will climb to 44.9% of GDP in 2 years' time. Now, is debt an issue? People are writing to me and saying they're worried stiff about it.
Well, Alan, it hasn't been because of the low interest rates. It hasn't been because people have been, joyous at receiving payments during the pandemic. It hasn't been because people basically take the view, well, they didn't run it up personally. It's someone else's responsibility. It's not their responsibility.
Treasury is now saying the interest bill could be $12 billion a year higher than the $26 billion. So that's $38 billion. As your old man and mine would say, it's a bloody lot of interest.
Yeah. Well, it's a huge amount of money, and you're facing an environment where interest rates are going to increase, as everybody knows. So, is it a problem? Yes, of course it's a problem. But this is a worldwide problem. Western governments have never been more indebted everywhere in the world. I mean, I don't know what the American debt is. It's exceeded 30 trillion.
Yeah.
These staggering sums we've never seen before. And where you have higher interest rates, as we're going to see, this is going to put tremendous pressure on all these governments because the debts are out of control.